up, everybody? I'm Tiffany. Welcome to the Cinematic Reviewer. Today I'm talking about Wednesday Season 2 Part 1. Now, Wednesday Season 1 is just about the first thing I reviewed on this channel. I very much enjoyed myself with Season 1. I really liked it. I loved watching it. I watched it back in November 2022. Now, I did watch it again in anticipation for Season 2 back earlier this year in May and June. So I would say I wasn't as fond of it as I was the first time I watched it, but I still enjoyed certain elements in it. So basically what I'm going to do, because it's only 4 episodes, I'm just going to talk about my thoughts after each one. So with episode 1 of Season 2, I would say Jenna Ortega wasn't kidding when she said there were going to be more horror elements. Now, I think Steve Buscemi being the new principal, his integration into the show was very good. And it definitely created a conflict for Bianca. I definitely was more on her side in this season. And so I ended it with that episode feeling like not loving it, but it definitely has potential. Now, episode 2 felt very reminiscent of Stranger Things Season 4. With the murder scenes ended up being eyes gouged out and the blood is dripping down. Now, I think Pugsley's role in the show is very juvenile. He is very giddy and it's just so obnoxious. He definitely is serving for B-plot material. I mean, even C-plot material for this Skullboy zombie thing. Now, watching episode 2, I figured it was just a cameo, but it turns out like it's a whole character. But I did think that was kind of cool that Christopher Lloyd is back because he was Fester in the 90s version of the Addams Family. Really? I'm the captain now? In 2025? Now, shame on Morticia and Gomez for disrespecting Thing like that. Now, here's one thing I will say. Thing is still going strong. Thing is still great. Episode 3, I have way less to say on this one. They tried to do a competition game like they did in the first season, but really, it pales in comparison. Now, this girl, this red-headed girl that it obviously is modeling her hair to be pigtails just like Wednesday and is following her all around, I really do not like this character. I do not like this super fan character of Wednesday. Oh my gosh, like, why has she been added into the show? I do not like her whatsoever. Clearly, they're trying to have someone be a sidekick or at least be an assistant for Wednesday because they're kind of putting Enid off to the side, which I will be getting more into that, but like the disrespect on poor Enid, but like, why? She is not likable at all. I just want to understand, what even is the appeal of zombies? Like, they're gross, grimy, disgusting, they make that horrible sound. It's just so unappealing and so blah. I just do not understand it at all. And I would say, this was not an enjoyable episode. Episode 3 was such a waste. It was not very endearing, helpful to the plot, engaging, none of it. I was very so whatever about this episode. Now, episode 4, I thought there was a decent conflict with Morticia and her mother. Now, I do think this mother is a pretty decent and assertive character. I still cannot believe they decided to split this halfway because at least with Stranger Things Season 4, we had a very shocking reveal, a very stop you cold, hit you right across the face level of cliffhanger and shock, and I need to see what comes next. Like, I myself could not stand Season 4 Stranger Things, okay? But I still wanted to know what comes next because of how good they ended Part 1, okay? And what do we get here? This is such a weird choice to end it here. Like, it doesn't even feel like it's a stopping ground. It just feels like, okay. I do not understand exactly what's going on with the writing, what they're doing here, what they're trying to add here. It is feeling very waste of my time, very unnecessary. Nothing is particularly feeling, oh my gosh, this is great, let's keep going. So like I said about Enid, I think it's so unfortunate that they are just putting her on the shelf, kind of only giving her a little conflict of love triangle business. Basically, she's over the guy from the first season and she's moved on to this guy who is also a werewolf like her. And she doesn't get to be a part of the team with Wednesday. She doesn't get to work with her. Now, I understand why. I do understand that they're trying to go for, hey, Wednesday doesn't want to put Enid in danger because of what she saw in her vision. I understand that. But despite them having a decent reason for why, it still is such a waste. Okay, you decided to add more horror elements. You decided to cut out any sort of love story, which was a pretty compelling thing in season 1. Whatever the case, you're really gonna just sideline the big deal friendship that is part of why people care about it so much. It just does not make any sense to me. Basically, the only consistent character you get is Wednesday. But like I said, part of her consistency is her friendship with Enid. And we really don't get Enid. So who even is consistent right now other than Thing? Thing is still good. But I am so disappointed here. And this is kind of what happens when, well, first off, when you decide to extend a show that only should have stayed at 1 season, but also the fact that we're almost 3 years past when the first season came out. Like, the fact that they keep doing this. We do not need this high-level budget ridiculousness taking forever to make these projects, right? Even looking at the budget here, I mean, look at the creatures they've made. They got this bad-looking zombie, a bad-looking hide. Like, what? How can you say you needed almost 3 years of time? So overall, I would say this season, at least so far, has not hit at all for me. It does have some moments that were pretty decent, but it just does not hold a candle to season 1. And like I said, it just feels like something that should have stayed at 1 season. I myself like to see more from a show, but the decisions they've made here, it's very much like, yeah, you guys should have kept that in the vault. That was not necessary. Now, there is a little promo that comes right after you finish episode 4, because that's part 1. It does have a little promo to give you a little sneak peek of what's coming next for part 2. And the little carnival thing that they're having, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is just like what happened with Manifest. Now, with Manifest, in that new season that Netflix had had distributed, there's this whole thing that happens that's like the ground comes up, like it gets all broken down. That is very reminiscent of how it ends with the finale of season 4 of Stranger Things. Now, Manifest came out in 2023, okay? And Stranger Things season 4 came out the year prior, 2022. I am starting to see more similarities of the exact same thing happening in Netflix projects. Even though they really shouldn't have anything to do with each other, what gives? Basically, what happens here with the carnival, it's so much like season 3 of Stranger Things, okay? Like, I do not understand, okay, you're going to have originality, you're going to have new stuff happening. Why is this stuff happening? That's exactly like this other project. This really does not make sense to me. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the exact same set, the exact same carnival. Like, make decisions to be different, guys. Like, what even, why? Now, one more thing to add for episode 4. It was kind of interesting to at least not have the typical reveal that it wasn't the therapist at the mental hospital or having it be the music teacher. That was at least decent, but you still need to have a character that matters. This lady, no one cares about her. She's barely in the show, as if we're gonna be like, oh, good job, guys. Awesome. Like, at least, bare minimum, at least it wasn't same old, but it's still like, this is such a weak reveal. My point being, this is a very, very disappointing sequel. A very disappointing extension to the story. I really wanted to like this, okay? I myself was very nervous about seeing the first 6 minutes of the show a couple months back. It seemed like it was going to be very horror-centric. And like I had said, I did feel that way starting episode 1, but it just feels like it went back to being more tame, but nothing's interesting, nothing's enjoyable. It's just not very compelling in any way. Okay, great, yes, stop doing so many horror elements, but why should I care? There's just nothing here that's got me like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, I do like that Enid's hair has that little color in it, but she barely gets to do anything, and I think that's a real shame. I'm just not intrigued by anything happening here. Like, Morticia, I don't know what Catherine Zeta-Jones has done, but she looks so different. Oh, that's another thing I forgot to say. The aging of the characters is pretty severe. Like, at least with the girls, you could kind of be like, oh, they look almost exactly the same. But with the guys, of course, plenty of them have really shot up and matured and whatever, and it's just very like, whoa. But obviously that's not something you can control. Of course they're gonna grow up, but I just very much am disappointed. I really liked and enjoyed season 1 of Wednesday, okay? And it was like a cultural moment. There's a reason why there's plenty of promo for this show. Whether it be the fact that the introduction to Netflix, the little da-dum, comes and you have Thing doing it. Like, it has its own little starting block. Usually a Netflix original is just going to have the default Netflix thing going before the show starts. That's cool. And then Wendy's and Wednesday have come together, collaborated, so you can get a meal for that. And I'm sure there's other promo. These are just the ones I've seen. I'm just incredibly disappointed. I really wanted to enjoy myself here, and I am not impressed. If they can stick the landing, that'll be cool, but it's feeling like season 4 Stranger Things. Just disappointing, man. Disappointing. That is all I got for you guys today. Did you enjoy Wednesday season 2? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, comment below. And if you liked this video and would like to see more movie or TV show content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time. Bye!